welcome to my channel. My name is Chris, and today I thought I would give you a little bit of an update on my orchard and show you a few new plants I got for it. Very excited. If you didn't see, I did do a short on an unboxing of a Stark Brothers order that I put in. If you hadn't seen that, I can link it below if you want to check it out. One of the plants that I got is this McIntosh Apple, and I'm gonna go ahead and get that planted today. I also got this Chicago hardy fig as well. It's got a little bit of growth right here at the top. Hopefully it does well. In that same order, I got 10 asparagus crowns. These are Millennium asparagus. I visited a local nursery about 2 weeks ago or so, and I picked up this hardy blueberry, this rhubarb, and this superior blueberry. The blueberries and the rhubarb actually are all looking really nice, so I'm excited to get those in the ground. Those are the plants left over that I took from my old house. My yarrow is coming back, and my comfrey is actually doing okay too. I really need to get those in the ground. They have been sitting out in this tray all winter. Now, McIntosh Apple is one of my favorite apples. I love to eat it. I love to bake with it, but I don't actually find McIntosh apples in my stores around me. So I'm excited to have the chance to grow it. Hopefully it does well. And side note, there are some daffodils. I didn't know those were there. They had to have been planted by the previous owner, but it's kind of a nice little reminder that spring is almost here. So right here in my front yard, you can see my 2 cherry trees that I already have in. The Montmorency right here, and the Rainier right there. Over here is where we're gonna put the apple tree. Now, the McIntosh apple, it is not a self-pollinating apple. It is gonna need a pollinizer, and I don't have one yet. This is the only apple tree that I've got so far. I haven't decided which one I wanna pair it with. But this is an early to mid-season blooming apple, which means it will need to be paired with either an early, mid, or mid-season apple so that they bloom at the same time. If you get like a late season apple and try to pair it with this, they're going to be blooming at different times and they're not going to be able to pollinate each other. I already have my hole dug. I did that earlier this afternoon. This is a bare root tree, and I have been soaking these roots for about 5 hours. Stark Brothers just recommends that you don't do it any longer than 24. You should at least do it for 3. The hole, I want to make sure that it's deep enough so that I can plant about 2 to 3 inches below this graft. Here's the graft. This is the rootstock, and then this is the tree that was grafted onto this rootstock. Most fruit trees are grafted fruit trees, and that's so you can control the size of the plant. This is a semi-dwarf plant, which means it's going to get roughly 12 to 15 feet tall and about the same wide. So there's this little nub right here. I'm not going to put dirt above this spot. I want to keep it a couple inches below the graft. And I want to make sure to spread the roots out. And ideally, you want the hole to be about twice as wide as the roots. I almost forgot bone meal. I want to make sure to put this down. It just helps the roots focus on growing and building that really strong root system. Having a good root system will help the tree in the long run. So now I can get this in. So that looks about good. I'm gonna leave just a little bit of space at the top to add some compost. I haven't got my usual load of compost from my friend's farm yet, so I don't have that to add to this tree or to the other cherry trees, and I want to add it to those two. We'll add that when I get it, and then we're going to mulch it as well. For now, I'm going to just finish this off by watering it really, really well. This is just the water that I soaked the roots in. The weather is deceptively beautiful right now. It's probably low 60s, which is incredible for February in the Pacific Northwest. But that's not going to last. Today is the last beautiful day, and then it's going to start raining. In a way, it kind of seems counterproductive to go ahead and water it when we're just about to get an entire week at least of rain and possibly some snow as well. But it's really, really important that the roots of bare root trees do not dry out. I just noticed here, this is the Rainier. It's just starting to get a little bit of growth. You can see on the branches. So that's really exciting to see. Have just a little bit over here on the Montmorency as well. If you see the very tip, you can see it starting to turn green and start to kind of come alive. Hopefully that means we did something right when we planted them. This is my first orchard that I've ever set up. So I'm still learning all about fruit trees, how they work, what they like, what they don't like, how to make sure they stay happy. And then since all of these have been pruned, I don't have to worry about pruning them. So pruning will come next year. Oh, with the exception of this. This is a Hollywood plum. This actually came from my old house. I bought it while I was still living there. I'm not entirely convinced. It's like if you see, I scratched it just a little bit, and there's green in there underneath the bark, which means it's still alive. I don't think the center stem here is though. Last year when it was at my old place, it didn't grow anything on the center stem, so I'll probably prune that off and just take it off completely, and then have these branches just pick, I'll probably keep this one back here, this one, and maybe this one, and then I'll prune the rest of it off and give it hopefully a really good start for the year. But for now, our task of the day is done. Our apple tree is in. I can't wait to see how it grows and how it does. Be sure to bring you along on the journey. Sometime soon, I really need to get the garden started. At the very least, I got to get that asparagus in, and I got to get some seeds started. I do not have one single seed started, which is unreal for me. Usually I'm chomping at the bit, trying to get them all in, and I usually end up starting them early, like way earlier than I actually need to. But I haven't started them at all. Part of it is just because I don't have a garden set up yet, and I've had so much going on that I haven't sat down to make it a priority. And then part of it is also the fact that the room that I really want to use as my seed setup, well, this week it's been torn apart and it still hasn't been quite put back together yet. There was, at some point in the history of the house, there was a water leak, and the gentleman who lived here before, he was quite elderly, and he passed away before the house was sold. But he fixed the leaky pipe but he didn't fix any of the actual water damage. I just didn't really feel like I had a space to put them. And I could have set them in there, but then I would have just had to pull them back out and then try to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I guess I just wasn't very motivated. That is something we got to get on top of. Otherwise, there won't be much of a garden or a harvest this year. I kind of had big hopes, but part of me also realizes that this is a brand new garden that I'm establishing. There's no beds, there's no nothing. I have to build it all completely from scratch. And that is going to take some time. So as much as I think, oh, I'm going to do all of this year, the reality is that I don't think I'm going to be able to. I don't think I'm going to be able to get all of the beds built and prepared for everything that I really wanted to plant. Not this year anyway. Plus, end of June, early July is when our baby's due, and since this is our first, I have no idea how that's going to impact us, how busy I'm going to be, how tired I'm going to be. I kind of don't want to get so in over my head and then just have it all go to waste later, because then I will be really, really sad, very disappointed, and probably a little bit irritated with myself. We'll see what happens. I'd love to say that I would just put my husband in charge of it, but he has no idea what he's doing in the garden. I think it would probably do better with my neglect than his attention. If worst comes to worst, I still have all of the green stalks that I had at my old place, so I can get some soil and put at least some plants in those. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I'm very excited to share the new plants that I've gotten and to go ahead and get that apple tree in. It feels really good to actually have a few fruit trees in the ground and know that my orchard is started. I feel like that's a big dream of mine. And so to finally see that start to come alive is really exciting. And I'm so glad you're here to join me on that journey and to share in this dream with me. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Then you'll get notifications when I upload my next video. And I will definitely be taking you on the journey on how these plants do, how they grow, the adventure of building a garden from scratch, and all the other adventures that are bound to happen here as we start building our very own homestead. So I thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time.